Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, me and my buddy Kyle here, we're going to go to the junkyard and get some things for this car because, you know, I want to change some things up in the engine bay, and we'll get into that and check it out. But, you know, since LS Fest, I've driven it probably a good 150 miles. Like, it's actually been doing pretty good. It definitely needs some tires, especially after the donut at LS Fest. And if you haven't seen that, go back and watch that video. At the very end is when I have that on there. But either way, I've been working on the tune, and that's going pretty good. The wideband is showing me pretty good air-fuel ratios, so I'm pretty happy with it. I can't really do much with the timing right now because I'm getting a little bit of knock on the top end, just because I think I have a valve seal problem, because you'll get a little bit of an oil smell when you really get into it. I mean, you got to keep in mind this engine is a junkyard engine out of an old Chevy truck, so it can have those types of issues. So over the winter teardown that we're going to do, I'm going to try to switch the heads. I got some 799 heads, which for the people that know anything about LS's, I guess they're pretty close to like a 243 casting head, if not the same thing. So it's going to bump that compression up. I think it's somewhere around 10.5 to 1. It's somewhere in that neighborhood. So we're going to get a little bit of power out of that, and I would love to get like a sloppy stage 2 cam or something along those lines. Like, you know, you have a lot of guys that say the sloppy stage 2 is just the, you know, the cam that everybody gets, but it sounds good, and, you know, according to the numbers, it puts out power. So that's definitely what you want. But either way, I did something new to the engine bay, which is kind of a nice little addition. I'm pretty proud of how it turned out. So I'm gonna let Kyle here take the camera, and then we'll open it up and check that out and see what we're gonna get into today. So I wanted to make the, I want to make this naturally aspirated setup really work the best that it can. So as far as keeping the intake air temperatures down, I went ahead and made this air box. So just made out of the same metal that I used for the floors, and then took a piece of plexiglass from that Miata that I have, and, you know, because it had like plexiglass windows, and made this top plate here. So it's got the door seal from that Miata going around the outside of it to keep it nice and sealed. And then going up through this hole here, there's a piece, which the welds kind of look splotchy, but that's just because of, you know, this is a dog bowl, like a dog food bowl that I welded the pipe to get it to work. So I have a duct in there that comes up, and it projects air kind of right into the side of that filter. So maybe, I mean, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. I mean, obviously, it's, if you put your hand out the window at 50 miles an hour, you can feel, you know, how much air is being pushed on it. So it should make a difference. You know, as far as I can tell, with looking at the data logs, this has actually made a pretty significant difference to the intake air temperatures, because I no longer have that hot air kind of being pulled over from here. So the other things that I want to do, and this is what we're going to go to the junkyard today for, I want to move this alternator down to where the power steering pump is, get rid of this big aluminum bracket, and then I'd love to get like an LS1 power or a water pump and spacers, so that way I can take this pipe here and maybe run it underneath of this to keep, number one, this heat from getting right onto the intake here, and number two, it's going to make the system easier to bleed and not have this huge kind of thing going on over here. So we're actually going to get rid of the belt-driven power steering pump, and then we're going to go ahead and get the power steering pump off of a Volvo, because it's electric. So I can kind of mount that wherever I want, and then just run the lines over and be good to go. Which, you know, I've kind of been on the fence about whether I want to keep power steering or just go with like a Pinto manual steering rack that the F-body guys do. But I mean, at the end of the day, I'd love to have a switch where I can just turn the power steering on and off. So if I'm going to go down the track, I'll turn it off, because it's going to put such a draw on this alternator. I just want to keep anything I can from pulling power from that engine. So, you know, really that's about it. We're going to get some wheel liners too, just because it needs those. And then the last thing I want to do is I'm going to take these pillar pods off of the A-pillar here, because I don't need 3 gauges right now. Like, the 1 gauge is, you know, like, well, man, see, when I look at it, I got a voltage gauge, an oil pressure gauge, and an air-fuel ratio gauge. So it's kind of like I do need all 3 of them. I'm still going to get the piece anyways, because I have a little 2-gauge pod thing that I can put like right next to the heads-up display part, a little bump. And then maybe I can put the air-fuel ratio, or the wideband gauge maybe over here or something. Either way, I mean, it's not going to cost but a couple bucks to get that from the junkyard. So we'll go ahead and hop in the truck. I'm going to go pick up some tools, and then we will, you know, get the stuff and, you know, see you there. So
let's get it.
All right, so we found the first piece of the puzzle, which is this power steering pump off of a Volvo. If come take a closer look at that. It's this whole unit right here. So basically, like I said, this is going to replace the belt-driven power steering pump, and we're going to go electric with it just because of, number one, taking that load off the engine, and number two, it'll just be cool to have that on and off switch. Because like I said, if we want to go down the track, we can take that off. Because you can see how bulky those wires are that are going in here. I think it's like a 70 or 80 amp pole on the electrical system, so it's pretty crazy. But let's go ahead and get this pulled out, and then we'll find our wheel liners for the car. And there it is. Simple enough. It's a big unit there though.
Finally got her off.
I mean, it's really about the same weight as like a normal power steering pump, maybe just a little bit heavier. But see, now we got the wiring harness coming back a little bit. So we should be able to make something work out of that. Then we'll just make brackets or like a plate that this will mount to. Because I was gonna get this, but there's just no point because it's not really gonna do me any good. So there we go. Now we got electric power steering. On to the next thing. All right, so this old girl here is gonna get us our wheel liners. Like the SleeperGTP's wheel liners, I mean, these are just completely shot. So these ones are still intact right here on both sides. So we'll rip these out, and then I'm gonna pull these wheels off. We're gonna check out these steering knuckles. I'm gonna try to give you guys an idea of kind of why my steering geometry is messed up on my car, and then we might just rob these so that way we could use these to modify and get that problem fixed. So let's go ahead and jump right into that. All right, so if you check this out, let me see this real quick. If we look back here on the SleeperGTP setup, my caliper is on the back side because I would take this spindle and flip it to the other side, so that way where the tie rod connects in is on the front side instead, because obviously the rack can't go back there with it being rear wheel drive. So the problem that I've got is if you look at this angle that this comes off at, okay, how it kicks back, if you were to draw a picture where you've got a dot like right here and then kind of an offset dot here and turn it, what you're gonna see is that if you have those side by side, like this side, if you turn to left, will turn more, or no, sorry, it'll turn less than the other side. Because when you turn, you want your inside wheel when you make a turn to turn more than the outside wheel. So what we're gonna do is probably gonna rob these off of here so that way I can get that cut off and then get it set straight, and then I'll have to change my tie rod ends again on my car to get it to work, but at least we'll have the pieces to do it, and I won't have to have the car down and out just to do that. So let's go ahead and start pulling that off, and at the same time though, we'll get this wheel liner out. Okay. I ran into a bit of an issue because I decided I wanted to get these on the way here, and I don't have the big nut for that. So I could cut the boot on this and undo the clip back there and take this off, but they're going to charge me for this. I don't know if they'll charge me for that or not, but I don't really want to pay for all that. I'll have to come back with the right stuff, but this will give you a better view of kind of what I'm talking about. Once again, look at how far back this curves. I mean, it kicks back way back here. It needs to be coming out like right here. It needs to be more like a straight line, and that should fix the steering geometry problem. So we'll come back for these. I mean, I can't really do anything with them anyways because this is aluminum, so I'd have to find somebody to weld this, and I can weld it good because it's cast, and I really don't want that to snap off. So we'll go ahead and get the wheel liners out and forget about that. But at least now you get a general idea of what I'm talking about when I say that the steering geometry is messed up because of that right there. Now the other thing that I really like to find is like a black coupe, because on the Sleeper GTP these pieces are all screwed up. But yeah, check this thing out. For all of you guys that aren't from like the Rust Belt, this is in North Carolina, but this car obviously came from an area like that. This is what happens. I mean, look at that. This car had to come up north because it is just absolutely shredded, man. Luckily, the car we're building isn't like that, so not a big deal. But anyways, let's get this thing out the rest of the way. It's just crazy to see that stuff because the car, you know, it's literally deteriorating.
Falling apart.
Yeah. It's going back to Mother Nature. And then always save your hardware, even if you have a bucket of bolts like I do, because, you know, see those little plastic things that are on them, and everything else is just nice to have. So it doesn't cost you anything to throw it in your bag and keep it, because I'm not going to charge you for bolts. There we go.
How's she looking?
Nice clean wheel liner. Now, like, I would get this piece in here, but just the way that mine's set up, I don't think that's going to work. So not really a big deal. I'm just mainly after this because, you know, our cold air intake that we made, it's all right here. We don't want water splashing in there. So here we go. Let's see if we can find a black coupe. I don't ever check the inventory before I come here. I always just like to kind of scavenge around and see what I can find. So either way, we've got two of the things that the car really needs. So let's move around and see what we can find. All right, so we're walking around and we walked past this SN95 Mustang and it had these wheels on it. They're well, the SVT Cobra reps or whatever. I mean, they're fake wheels. They're not the real legitimate wheels, but they're 17 by 9s. So I think these are gonna look a lot better than those steelies. So we're gonna go ahead and grab these. I don't know if they're gonna charge me for the tires because they're all shot. I mean, they probably will, but if they're only like $5 a piece, we'll keep them on there or whatever, just to sit them on the car. The back's definitely gonna need wheel spacers because this is obviously on a regular Grand Prix. And you can see, I mean, it brings it right here, but you gotta think how much further back my rear end is set in. So I think we're gonna go ahead and grab these. I mean, they only want like $40 a piece for these. So have 160 bucks. I mean, that's minus the tires, but have 160 bucks and a set of wheels. I don't think that'll be too bad, especially being black already. I mean, that's gonna be sweet. So
Pretty solid.
Yeah, let's go ahead and grab those and we'll get them on the car when we get back and check them out. I mean, out pretty good with these things here. I mean, we definitely weren't planning on getting wheels, but you know, it needs them. So it's kind of sprinkling a little bit, so we're going to throw these things on the car real fast, and then we're not going to worry about the tire steering club or anything yet. That's just something for a later date, probably when we tear it down for the winter. So let's get these on, whether it's raining or not. We'll just put this camera up for now, and then we'll check it out once we get them on there. So all right, so we got the wheels on there. They look all right. I mean, these different tires, and I got to do some ride height adjustment. I also need to get a little bit more of a spacer on the back. I had some that are laying around that I put on there just to see what it looked like. It didn't do too bad. So anyways, without further ado, there's what she looks like with some better looking wheels on it. Not exactly what I wanted, but man, these are way better than those steelies, let me tell you. So like I said, as you can see, these tires are just teeny tiny. I want to give them a little bit more sidewall and then also go a little bit wider on the back because they're just 235/45s. So probably go with like maybe a 255 will fit on there. I'm not entirely sure. So maybe do like a 255 because these are 9-inch wide wheels, and then get like a, you know, I don't know, a 50 or 55. I mean, just a little bit more sidewall. So that'll help it out a little bit. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with them. They look sweet. Sucks they don't have center caps, but you know, let's go ahead and christen these things by a big nasty hairy burnout. So let's do it right.
think those will ripen her up.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of doing it. Get some set in.
That'll do the trick.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. We'll get some new tires on. These ones are junk. They charged me way too much for junk tires, but whatever. We just got to do a burnout on the wheels. So these will be good hold me overs. Eventually we'll get wheels that actually fit right, but you know, this is 100 times better than those steelies. So anyways, I just want to let everybody know too that I'm working on a t-shirt design. I just kind of want to get the name out there, and that's also going to help me get more things done with the channel. You know, hopefully I can get that set up soon. I got somebody working on a design right now. And then the other thing that I'm considering doing is doing a Patreon thing. You know, I know the channel's not super big right now, but I feel as if the only way that I'm going to get this to grow is to, number one, get some support from you guys, and then also, you know, have these things up so that way as we grow, hopefully we can gain some things there. Because I've got a lot of cool ideas with this thing, and like I said before, I've got plenty of ideas for the future. I mean, hopefully the next thing could be like a, you know, early 2000s Grand Am of the same body style, but doing like a drift car setup, so having an independent rear suspension with a 5-speed and all that. So either way, we'll get there eventually, guys. I really appreciate you watching. You know, I hope you enjoyed checking all this out. We'll get to that power steering pump another day, but until then, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think, and if you're interested in a t-shirt when it does come out. And you know, until then, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.